Hi stamping friends, it's Charlene from stampingwithcharlene.com. Welcome to Almost Live Stamping with Charlene. It's Tuesday, October 19th, 2021. For tonight's project, this is a little out of the box for me. We are going, I'm going to show you this monochromatic look. It's really beautiful up close in person. I just used very vanilla cardstock and Mary Merlot ink. So you'll see that there, but what I wanted to show you was, oh, part of it fell off. Of course, you know, this is why I don't do things live anymore. I am going to show you how you can make your own ribbon. If you see the intro picture, you'll see that this had a cute little bow on it. And it's this Mary Merlot ribbon. And you might say to yourself, well, Charlene, we don't sell that in the catalog. I don't see that anywhere in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. We don't sell it. I'm going to show you how you can make your own colored ribbon. It can be any color you want. So let's get started. Here's a closer look at the card, and good news is I found the bow. Oh, it's just, I'm having a hard time with it sticking on there. I think you might have to use some tear and tape adhesive or some of our liquid glue to have it stick. I've been using a mini glue dot and that just obviously isn't working. But in addition to finding the bow, I also added some genial gems. They come in these two cute little colors, and I used the gold on here, and it just really, really makes it pop. So let me talk to you about this has a few stars to the show, but I want to just emphasize that it's okay to use a set of dies and a stamp set that don't coordinate as a bundle. And so I'm using the Stitched Leaves dies, and I'm using the Color and Contour stamp set. So technically the Stitched Leaves dies match the Love of Leaves stamp set, but I don't need to use this stamp set. I just wanted to use this little background, and I wanted to use this sentiment. So let's get started, and I'm going to show you how to make your own ribbon and have this monochromatic look. You're going to start off with just a basic card, and I'm using Very Vanilla cardstock. And then I also used Very Vanilla cardstock to cut out these leaves with the Stitched Leaves dies. And I used both pieces. If you remember my video from last week, I showed you the different ways that you can use these dies, and I used both pieces of the die. That's how I got the image cut out, and then also it has the detail on the inside. It's by using both pieces of the die. So it's going to cut it out, and it's going to leave this little image in the middle. So I made one of each. You'll see with these two little leaves here, they look the same, but they go in different directions. So I use this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. I didn't use this one here. So you're going to want to cut those out. And then you're going to need to grab your Mary Merlot ink pad. Okay, we're going to start off with the little background stamp from that Color and Contour stamp set, and I'm just going to ink this up in my Mary Merlot, my new favorite color, and then I'm just going to stamp the image diagonally. I'm going to stamp off a little bit. That's why I'm using my grid paper to protect my work surface, and I'm just going to stamp this going diagonally across the front of the card, just like that. Now you can set this aside because we're going to get back to that in a minute. But the next thing we're going to do is take our ink pad, and this is where we're going to dye our ribbon. I am using the white crinkle cut ribbon, and you can make this any color you want. You're just going to need, the way that, there's different ways to do this. The way that I'm going to do this is with the Mary Merlot ink pad. You could also use a blender pen, a Stampin' Blend. But there is not a Stampin' Blend in the Mary Merlot color, and I want my ribbon to be Mary Merlot. So what I am going to do is I'm going to take some paper towels just to protect the area around there because it gets kind of messy. And I am going to grab a sponge dauber. And now I'm going to show you how to do it. You're going to want to make sure that you do this ahead of time because it takes a couple of hours for this to dry, but I'm just going to lay the ribbon on top of the ink pad and I'm just going to dab, dab, dab it in the ink and just run it along so that the ink absorbs into the ribbon. Now, you can keep it light if you want. Like you see right there, you can still see some of the white through it. I'm gonna try to do this and show you on the camera without getting my hands all dirty. Or you can really saturate it and make it really dark. But I kind of like it kind of gives it a tie-dye effect if you don't really let it absorb. I don't know. I just like the look for this card. I don't really want it to be a solid Murray Merlot color. So I'm just going to run this along here like this and ink up the entire piece of ribbon and then set it aside to dry for a couple of hours. But don't despair because magic of TV, voila, I did one ahead of time and this one's already dry. So I'm going to set this one aside. But you still want to hold on to your sponge dauber because we're going to use that again in another step. So the theme of this is being monochromatic. But if you'll notice, I did give some dimension to the leaves and I did that two ways. The first one is I put ink on the edges and then I curled it with my paper snips. I curled all the leaves. So let me show you how to do that. You're going to still use your sponge dauber and you want your ink pad and then you're just going to come in here with your leaves. And you are just going to, now you should have still quite a bit of ink left on your sponge dauber, so you don't necessarily have to dunk it in to get the ink. I would just go along the edges and you're just flicking off the ink onto the paper. Okay, so it's not, take your time and do it so you don't get your thumb on there and get little thumbprints everywhere. And then set that aside and you're just going to do this on all of them. Trying to see if you can see it on the... What you don't see behind the scenes is that I'm filming this and I'm watching myself do it on a television screen that I'm using as my monitor, so that way I know that everything that I'm showing you is actually in frame and not like up here by my face where you can't see it, because then what's the point? So I'm trying to do that and not get it on my fingers at the same time. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes here. So we're gonna just do this to the edges. And when you're done with this sponge dauber, I've had some luck just running it underwater. Since this is, you know, it's water-based ink, it'll clean up. Even though it'll be stained, you can still, I just gently run it under some water. I don't use any soap or anything, just, you know, run it under water and then you can reuse it again on another color, even though it is stained. Okay, one more here. And then we can start assembling the card. Okay, so I have all of my leaves. I inked to papered all of them. Now, before I put my ink pad away, I do want to come in here and stamp the sentiment also on a piece of Very Vanilla, and I'm still using the Murray Merlot. And I just chose You Are Absolutely Amazing. This is great as a thank you. It's great for somebody who's going through a difficult time, someone who just accomplished something. Now what I'm going to do is also ink to paper. You can do this with your sponge dauber, or what you can do is just take it and just gently dip the edges of the cardstock onto the ink pad. But be careful that you don't, you know, get the ink on your fingers and stuff. So now that we're done with all of that, we can assemble the card. Now the easiest way that I came up with to put the card together is just to take some of your adhesive, and I'm using my Stampin' Seal Plus, and I rolled 2 strips of it just right there in the center. And now pick up each leaf, take your paper snips, and then you just want to curl the edges of the leaves. And then after you do that, you can just set it down so that the stem is on the on your adhesive. I found that was the easiest way to do it, to keep them all arranged. You want to make sure that they don't overhang so that they'll fit in your envelope. This is such an easy way to make the card look fantastic by curling the leaves. Okay, and now I'm just gonna add, you can use Stampin' Dimensionals, but I'm just gonna add some more of my Stampin' Seal Plus, and I'm gonna put it here so that it covers all of the adhesive that I put down first. In case all of the leaves didn't cover it, this should cover everything. Now I'm gonna take my bow and let me tie the bow and attach it to the card. Another interesting bit of information of stuff that goes on behind the scenes is that I have to remember, because I get carried away and I just want to make the entire card, but I have to remember for my filming purposes that I have to keep each little clip about a minute or so. If not, it takes forever for it to upload to my computer, and then it's just a disaster when it comes to having to make the actual video. So that's why I sometimes stop in odd places. Okay, so I'm not gonna make the same mistake this time. I'm gonna find I think I'm gonna try tear and tape adhesive. Well, I don't know where I put that at the moment. So pretend that I just put that there with tear and tape adhesive, and you can trim your little ends if you want. And then don't forget the best part of adding the bling. And I just put these little gold, I put a large one there. You can do it any way you want to. One up there. And I think I put another one, I'll just put another one over here, like that. And it just adds some bling. So there you have it. A lot of different techniques. Ink to paper, make your own ribbon and try to figure out how to stick it to the card. The monochromatic look, curl your leaves with the paper snips. So many fun things in this card, but it's perfect for fall. And you can use whatever your favorite color is. Right now, my go-to is the Merry Merlot, but imagine this in Old Olive or any of the green colors or even in brown. It'd be fabulous. Isn't that fun to make your own ribbon? Color any color you want, any season, any theme. It's so fun. A little bit messy. Just make sure that you let it dry, of course. But you can also combine any dies with any stamp set. So many things in tonight's video. It was hard to name it, but let me know if you like it and if you're going to try this technique and what your favorite monochromatic colors are. It can be anything. It just means all one color. So give it a try and let me know. And I will see you here next week.